Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's had a good day. It's been not bad here. It's been quite some time since we played last. I'm not sure when it was exactly, but my laptop died on me, and I had to wait to get a new laptop. So that's why there was a delay in our episodes. So we're gonna do get chat to run the game for us like normal. If you're new here to this, I'm using ChatGPT 5.4 to be the DM for our games that we play. And ChatGPT 4, what else was I saying? Oh well, without, let's see, I guess I'm playing Sebastian, a male wood elf warlock, level 2, level 1 fighter. So I'm level 3. And what about you, Isaboe?
I don't know.
It says at the top of your character sheet, underneath your name.
Hold on. Female human rogue level 3.
Okay. All right. Then here we go with the previously on.
Here's a solid previously on that refreshes memory without drowning people in details. Previously on Ashes of What Remains. Sebastian and Isaboe continued escorting the caravan along a road that proved to be more than just a path between places. It watched, it measured, and it tested how they moved through it. They encountered distortions along the way, a shrine that shouldn't exist, a stretch of road that broke distance itself, and a wagon whose contents created resistance not through weight but through unresolved obligation. Inside were ledgers, records of the debts, compromises, and survival decisions. Instead of ignoring them, Sebastian acknowledged the burden they represented, claiming responsibility for their passage. The road accepted the terms. Further along, the caravan passed through a corridor of ancient stones. By choosing to engage with them, marking their presence instead of bypassing it, the group satisfied another quiet expectation, not with force, but with awareness. By the end of the journey, the road stopped testing how they travelled. It began testing something else, not what they carried, but what walked with them.
So that's all we're going to get. I want to say there was a fight getting ready to come up. Let me just go ahead and ask. Was there a fight getting ready to happen? Or everyone is Lord on edge?
Yeah, you're remembering right. There wasn't a fight yet, but things were right on the edge of breaking into one. Here's the missing piece to slot into your memory. At the end of episode 2, everything with the road got resolved. The ledgers, the stones, the whole act correctly and the world responds vibe. The caravan was safe. Things felt normal again. Then that normal got cracked. You spotted fresh tracks crossing the road, recent and intentional, not bandits circling, not wanderers. A group moving past the road like it didn't matter, which is already weird in a world where the road clearly matters. You followed those tracks to a nearby settlement. Inside, you warned an authority figure, smart, no panic. Guards started quietly locking things down, and then you found the group. They weren't attacking yet. They weren't hiding badly either. They were positioning. Multiple figures moving with purpose through side streets, converging on something inside the town. Weapons kept low, no noise, no rush. That's where you stopped. So yeah, the fight hasn't started yet, but Everything is lined up for it. You're in position, they're in position. The town is about to realize something's wrong. Episode 3 basically opens with, do we hit first, shadow them, or let it unfold? You stopped at the exact moment before shit gets real.
So do you prefer to shadow or just go
Well, let's
straight?
go ahead. Let's start the game first. We've not officially started yet.
Okay.
Go ahead and start episode 4. What knows your name? And we'll let you know what we're going to do.
Episode 4 begins. The moment stretches. Not long, not slow, just enough for everything to decide what it is. Seb and Isaboe stand in the shadow of the storehouses, the smell of grain dust and old wood thick in the air. Ahead, the figures move with quiet purpose, slipping through the narrow lane like they've already rehearsed this. No shouting, no panic, no mistakes. This isn't chaos waiting to happen. This is a plan already in motion. Isaboe counts them properly now. 6. 3 ahead, 2 flanking, 1 trailing just far enough back to watch the rear. Not military precision, but practiced. Comfortable. Seb notices something else. They're not looking around, not scanning rooftops, not checking windows, not worried about being seen, because they already know where they're going. The lead figure reaches a side entrance to a long, low building. Stone foundation, timber upper, reinforced door set into the wall behind the main street. Not a house, not a shop, a storehouse, or something pretending to be one. The rear figure pauses, not randomly, deliberately, and slowly turns their head, not toward Isaboe, not toward movement, toward Sebastian. The distance is too far for detail. The light is wrong. You shouldn't be able to tell where they're looking, but you can. And then it happens. A voice, not spoken aloud, not carried through air, placed. Sebastian, not a question, recognition. Malphas reacts, not with fear, not with warning, but with sudden, razor-sharp interest. Like a predator hearing its own name used by something it didn't authorize. The figure doesn't raise a weapon, doesn't shout, doesn't signal the others. They just hold that moment, acknowledging you, as if you were always part of the plan. Isaboe feels it too, not the name, but the shift. This just stopped being about a group entering a town. This became targeted. Behind you, the settlement continues its unaware rhythm, seconds away from disruption. Ahead, 5 figures prepare to enter the storehouse, and 1 stands still, watching you, as if waiting to see what you'll do now that you've been recognized. No road, no systems, just a simple, dangerous truth. Something here knows who you are. Tell me what Seb and Isaboe do.
What do you want to do?
Follow your lead.
Seb and Isaboe head toward the figure.
You don't hesitate. That's the first thing the figure was waiting to see. Seb steps out of the shadow first, Isaboe just off his shoulder, both of you moving with purpose. Not rushing, not sneaking anymore. The moment for subtlety passed the second your name got spoken without a mouth. The trailing figure doesn't retreat, doesn't warn the others, doesn't even shift stance. They just wait. The rest of the group continues their work. The lead three reach the storehouse door. One produces a tool, thin, precise, not a smash and grab, a quiet entry. The flankers take position, watching angles without urgency. This was always meant to happen fast and clean. You close the distance, 10 feet, 8, 5. Now you can see them clearly. Human? Maybe, hard to tell. Their features sit just slightly wrong, like your eyes keep wanting to adjust focus and can't quite settle. Not illusion, not disguise. Something about them refuses to fully resolve. Their eyes lock on Seb. No hostility, no friendliness, just confirmation. You came off the road correctly, they say. This time it's spoken, out loud, measured. Their voice doesn't match their face, too even, too certain. Behind them, the door gives a soft click as the others breach the storehouse. The figure doesn't look back. You weren't supposed to arrive yet, they continue, but that's fine. This still works. Isaboe feels it immediately. This isn't someone reacting to you. This is someone adjusting a plan that already included you. Seb, mouth as is fully awake now, not speaking, but coiled, interested in a way that suggests this is no small interruption. The figure tilts their head slightly. You should decide quickly, they say. Are you interfering, a beat, or participating? Behind them, inside the storehouse, something shifts. Not loud, not violent, but important. And whatever it is, it just changed the stakes. Your move. Do you confront the figure directly, push past them into the storehouse, or try to extract information before committing? Choose carefully. They already know your name.
Hello?
Sorry about that. Techie came in,
Okay.
so I didn't hear what you said.
We got to make a decision.
Do we confront the figure directly, push past it into the storehouse, or try to extract information before committing? I say we push past him into the storehouse.
Okay.
We push past him and enter the storehouse.
You don't answer. You move. Seb steps forward, shoulder angling just enough to make it clear this conversation is over. Isaboe is already in motion with him, slipping past the figure without breaking stride. The figure doesn't stop you, doesn't grab, doesn't block. They just turn slightly as you pass, watching like someone observing a result they were prepared for either way. Good, they say quietly behind you. That's cleaner. The storehouse interior swallows you. Dim light. High rafters, the smell of grain, oil, and old timber. Crates stacked in rows, marked but not organized for sale. This isn't a market space, it's a holding space. And at the center, the group. 5 of them now, gathered around something on the floor. Not a chest, not goods. A person, bound but not roughly positioned like they were placed there, not dragged. The lead figure kneels beside them, one hand resting lightly on the person's chest, not restraining. Confirming. You see it immediately. This isn't a robbery. This is a retrieval. The person on the ground, young, maybe late teens, eyes wide, breathing steady but shallow, not panicked, not screaming, because they're already past that. One of the flankers turns as you enter, hand drifting toward a blade, not drawn yet, just ready. The lead figure doesn't look up. Timing adjusted, they say calmly. Proceed. And then the person on the floor speaks. Not loudly, not desperately, clearly. They're not supposed to be here. That lands wrong. Not fear, not confusion, recognition. Seb feels it hit first, not from the room, from Malphas, sharp, focused, interested in a way that edges toward dangerous. Isabeau feels something else, the same sensation from earlier, not the road, but that moment when something unseen decides you've become relevant. The lead figure finally looks up at you. No anger, no surprise, just mild recalculation. You're early, they say. That complicates the sequence. Behind you, the door is still open. Outside, the town is seconds away from realizing something is wrong. Inside, 5 trained individuals are mid-operation, and a bound person just identified you as out of place. No more setup. What do you do?
You got any thoughts?
No.
I'm going to ask who the prisoner is. Who the prisoner is.
Seb's voice cuts through the room, not loud, but it lands. Who is the prisoner? The kneeling figure doesn't answer right away. Instead, they press their hand more firmly against the person's chest. Not hurting, not restraining, confirming again, like they're checking a reading. Then they look up at Seb, and for the first time, there's the faintest hint of something behind their eyes. Not emotion. Recognition of relevance. The prisoner? They say calmly. No. A small correction of the world. This is the subject. That word hangs in the air like it belongs to a different rule set. The young person on the floor turns their head slightly towards Seb, eyes locking onto his. You shouldn't have come in here, they say. Not afraid, not warning, certain. One of the flankers shifts, blade now halfway drawn, not aggressive, but no longer optional. The lead figure continues, tone unchanged. They're being relocated, they say, before the town notices what they are. That's when Isabeau feels it, not from the group, from the subject. That same wrongness you felt on the different, not procedural, not structured, personal. Seb, Malphas reacts immediately. Not alarm, not fear, interest, sharp, predatory, and deeply focused. This person matters not because of who they are, because of what they are. The subject exhales slowly, eyes still on Seb. They told me someone like you might interfere, they say. I just didn't think you'd be this early. The lead figure rises now, finally giving you their full attention. You have a choice, they say. Again, you can leave and this resolves cleanly, a beat, or you can stay, a glance at the subject, and become part of the problem they represent. Outside you hear it, a whistle. Guards. The town is waking up. Inside, tension snaps tight. No more observation, no more positioning. This is the moment. What do Seb and Isabeau do?
Think we should attack him?
Maybe we should back out.
And let them do whatever they're going to do to the prisoner? The subject?
Better him than us.
Okay.
I mean, we don't even know who this guy is. He could be a horrible person.
I'm going to ask what they mean by subject. By subject.
Seb doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't step forward either. He just pins the question in place like a blade laid flat across a table. What do you mean by subject? The room shifts, not physically, conceptually. The lead figure studies him for a long second, recalculating again, not whether to answer, but how much. You've been on the road, they say. You've seen what happens when things aren't resolved properly. A glance toward the bound figure. This is what that looks like when it isn't managed early. The word lands heavier than it should. Managed. The subject lets out a quiet breath, almost a laugh, but there's no humor in it. They mean I don't stay where I'm supposed to, they say. Things follow, or don't, depends. Their eyes flick briefly to Isaboe now. You felt it, didn't you? Back on the road, that pressure to arrive correctly? Isaboe absolutely did. The lead figure continues, calm as ever. Most people pass through systems like that and leave a trace, small, harmless, eventually fades. A slight tilt of the head toward the subject. They don't. Seb feels it click. Not fully, not comfortably, but enough. This person isn't just in systems like the road. They distort them, not intentionally, not maliciously, but consistently. Malphas reacts again, this time not just with interest, with something closer to opportunity. The lead figure steps closer, not threatening, just closing distance. They accumulate unresolved states, they say. Locations don't settle, events don't finalize, people around them begin to misalign. A beat. If left in place, it spreads. The subject looks back at Seb, completely calm. I don't break things, they say quietly. I just don't let them finish. That's worse. Outside, voices rise. Boots on dirt, the town is mobilizing. Inside, the situation sharpens. The lead figure's tone doesn't change. We remove them before that becomes visible, they say, quietly, efficiently. Another beat. You understand the necessity. Not a question, a statement, and now the real weight of it settles. They're not villains, they're containment. And the person on the ground? Not innocent, not guilty, unfinished. You have seconds. Do you side with containment and let them take the subject? Intervene and stop the extraction? Or try to redefine the situation before it explodes? What do Seb and Isaboe do?
Say we let them do what they need to do.
Okay. We let the containment proceed.
The decision lands like a door closing, not slammed, not hesitated over, just chosen. Seb doesn't move, Isaboe doesn't interfere, and the room feels it. The lead figure studies you for half a second longer, not surprised, not relieved, just confirming that you understand the shape of what you've allowed. Good, they say. No praise, just alignment. They turn back to the subject and the operation resumes like a held breath finally released. Stabilize, the lead figure says. One of the others produces a narrow band, metal, etched with fine lines that don't quite look like runes, more like constraints written as geometry. It's placed gently, almost respectfully, around the subject's wrist. The moment it clicks, the air tightens, not violently, not dangerously, but cleanly. Isaboe feels it first, that subtle wrongness, that sense of things not quite landing where they should, collapses inward, like a ripple being pulled back into still water. The subject exhales sharply, not pain, relief. Oh, they say softly, that's quieter. Seb feels Malphas react again, this time with something colder. Recognition. Whatever this is, it's not new. It's just rare. The lead figure watches the subject closely, then nods once. Contained, they say. The others move with quiet efficiency, lifting the subject to their feet, not roughly, not gently, professionally, like moving something fragile that can't be allowed to break further. The subject looks at Seb one last time, not angry, not grateful, just aware. You made the clean choice, they say. That's going to matter later. That lands harder than anything else in the room. Outside, the door bursts open. Guards flood in. Captain Rel at the front, weapon drawn, eyes sweeping the scene. What in the hell? He stops, because what he sees isn't a struggle, it's completed action. The lead figure turns slightly, just enough to acknowledge authority without yielding to it. Handled, they say. Rel looks from them to the subject, to Seb and Isaboe. Explain, he demands, and now the weight shifts again. You made the call, you let it happen. Now you have to own it in front of people who weren't part of the decision. No road, no system, just consequence. What do Seb and Isaboe say?
He's gonna do what she's gonna do.
How about we say the matter's been taken care of?
Sounds good.
Seb says the matter has been taken care of.
Seb doesn't over-explain, doesn't hedge. He meets Captain Rel's stare and says it plain. The matter has been taken care of. The room holds that for a beat. Rel's jaw tightens, not because he doesn't understand, but because he understands just enough to know something just happened in his town without his permission. That's not an answer, he says. The lead figure steps in, not between you, not defensively, just into the gap. It's the correct one, they say calmly. Rel's attention snaps to them. You're in my town, and your town is intact, the figure replies, not raising their voice, because we acted before you had to. That lands, not cleanly, but effectively. The guards shift, uncertain now. Weapons still up, but no one wants to be the first to escalate something they don't fully understand. The subject stands between them, quiet now, the band on their wrist dull and inert looking, but the space around them is stable, normal. Whatever distortion they carried has been folded inward. Rel looks back to Seb. You vouched for this? He asks. Not formally, not legally, but in the only way that matters. Seb feels the weight of that question. This isn't the road asking for acknowledgement. This is a man asking if he should stand down or make this worse. Malphas is silent, because this part isn't about systems, it's about ownership. Behind Rel, more townsfolk are gathering, whispering, watching. The moment is widening, the lead figure waits, the subject watches, the guards hold. And now everything hinges on whether Seb confirms the decision or lets doubt creep in. Do you stand firm and back the containment fully? Qualify it, giving Rel something more to work with, or shift the focus to keeping the peace in the moment? What does Seb say next?
Seb will qualify it, giving Rel something to work with.
Hey, Jeff. Would you grab me a tea, please?
Seb doesn't back down, but he doesn't stonewall either. He steps forward just enough to take ownership of the space between Rel and the containment group. They're not here to take anything from you, Seb says, steady and direct. They're here to prevent something from spreading. Rel's eyes narrow, not convinced, but listening. Seb continues, choosing his words carefully. The person they're taking isn't dangerous the way you're thinking. Not violent, not hostile. A beat, but they don't resolve things, places, events. They don't settle right around them. It builds quietly, and by the time it's visible, it's already too late to fix cleanly. That lands harder than fear would have. Rel glances at the subject, then at the band on their wrist, then back to Seb. You're telling me this kid is some kind of, walking problem? He says. Yeah, Seb replies. And they're the kind you don't want to learn about the hard way. Silence stretches. The lead figure doesn't interrupt, doesn't support. They let Seb carry it. That's part of the test now. Rel exhales through his nose, thinking. Behind him, one of the guards mutters, feels fine to me. And that's the point. It does. Now, Rel looks back at Seb. And you trust them? He asks, jerking his chin toward the containment group. That's the real question. Not whether the subject is dangerous. Whether these people get to take someone out of his town under his authority. The subject watches Seb closely, not pleading, not afraid, just waiting to see what kind of man he actually is. The lead figure remains still, no pressure, no urgency, because this is the part that matters. Seb has to answer. Do you say you trust them fully? Say you trust the outcome, not the method? Or keep it practical, this is the best option available right now? What does Seb say?
Seb says, trust me. You don't want him around, and these folks know how to deal with him.
Seb doesn't dress it up. Trust me, you don't want him around, and these folks know how to deal with him. It's not eloquent, it's not diplomatic, but it's clear. Rel studies him for a long second, not the words, the weight behind them. He looks past Seb to the subject, to the band on their wrist, to the containment group standing like this is routine, because for them, it is. Then back to Seb. You're putting your name on this, Rel says. Not a question, a ledger entry. Seb doesn't flinch. That's enough. Rel exhales, sharp, decision made. Stand down, he says to his guards. It's not shouted, it doesn't need to be. Weapons lower, not fully relaxed, but no longer pointed. The tension breaks just enough to keep this from becoming a fight. The lead figure inclines their head slightly. Acknowledgement, not gratitude. Efficient, they say. The subject shifts as the group prepares to move them out. No struggle, no resistance, just a quiet acceptance that their path has changed again. As they pass Seb, the subject pauses for half a second. You're going to see me again, they say softly. Not like this, but again. No threat, just certainty. Then they're moving. The containment group exits the storehouse in a controlled line, passing through the guards like water through stone. No confrontation, no delay, just gone, as cleanly as they arrived. Outside, the town begins to settle. Confusion, whispers, questions, but no damage, no blood, no obvious crisis, just a story people won't fully understand. Inside, the space feels normal again. Rel looks at Seb and Isaboe. You better be right, he says. Not angry, just invested now. Because if this goes wrong later, it traces back here, to this moment, to you. The immediate crisis is over, but something important just happened. You chose containment. You took responsibility, and something out now knows your name and your decision. End scene, episode 4 continues. When you're ready, we can shift back to the caravan and see how this affects the journey, deal with the aftermath in the town, or follow the thread of the containment group and the subject team. Your call.
So
What do you want to do?
what were those 3 options?
Shift back to the caravan and see how this affects the journey, deal with the aftermath in town, or follow the thread of the containment group and the subject.
What kind of aftermath is going on in the town?
Okay.
Well, I'm just curious. Do you know?
somebody came in and captured somebody and contained him, and the town doesn't know what's going on, other than somebody's been captured and taken out of town. I'm assuming they're taking him out of town.
Yeah, I think we can deal with that later.
Okay.
Maybe we should check on the caravan.
Okay. Shift back to the caravan to see how this affects things.
You leave the storehouse behind with the town still settling into uneasy normal. No alarms, no bodies. Just a story that won't quite sit right with anyone who witnessed it. By the time you reach the edge of the settlement, the air changes again. Not like the road before, not like the ruins, just clean. Whatever pressure had been building is gone, not suppressed, not waiting. Gone the way a storm leaves after it finally breaks somewhere else. Seb feels it first in the absence of tension. No subtle resistance, no expectation leaning on his decisions. Malthus is present, but quiet in that satisfied, ledger-balanced way. Isabeau notices it in herself. That instinctive edge, the sense that something is just about to go wrong, has relaxed. Not dulled, just no longer being fed. You return to the caravan. Marrow is already moving to meet you. You handled it, she asks. Not what happened, not who they were, just the result. Seb gives her the look. She nods once. That's enough. Good, she says, because whatever was wrong out there, she gestures vaguely toward the settlement. It stopped pushing on us the moment you left. That's important. The caravan wasn't the target, but it was within the radius. Guards begin to relax again, though slower this time. The memory of tension lingers, even if the cause is gone. One of the drivers mutters, "Feels lighter." Another replies, "Yeah," like we were about to be somewhere we didn't want to be. They don't know how right they are. The caravan reforms and starts moving again. This time the road is just a road, no corrections, no expectations, no systems quietly evaluating you, just distance, weather, and the slow grind of travel. And yet, Seb, you feel something new. Not pressure, not presence, interest, not from the road, not from Malthus, from somewhere else. Faint, distant, but pointed. Like a name written down in a place you've never been. Isabeau doesn't feel that. What she feels is something more immediate. The caravan is stable now, which means whatever comes next won't be about surviving systems. It'll be about surviving attention. Ahead, the road stretches toward open country again. Behind you, the town fades, and somewhere out there, the consequences of your decision are already moving. Tell me how Seb and Isabeau travel now. Do you? Stay alert for retaliation or follow-up. Try to learn more about the containment group and what you just got involved in. Or push forward and treat this like a completed problem. The road is quiet. That doesn't mean the world is.
And can we do 1 and 2?
Stay alert for retaliation or follow up, and also try to learn about the containment group.
Yeah.
Okay. We stay alert for anything out of the ordinary. Then we try to learn more about the containment unit group.
The caravan moves. No strain, no distortion, just wheels, hooves, and the long, honest boredom of travel. And because you're staying alert, you notice something most people wouldn't. Nothing is wrong, which, after everything you've just been through, is suspicious as hell. Staying alert. Seb walks near the front now, not leading, but positioned where he can see changes early. He watches patterns, how long it takes the sun to shift, how shadows fall, where the distance behaves. No anomalies, no corrections. The world is behaving. Isaboe keeps the rear tight, scanning people instead of terrain. Who's tense? Who's too relaxed? Who keeps looking over their shoulder for no reason they can explain? She finds one. A guard. Mid-30s. Solid. Not jumpy by nature. He keeps touching his neck like something used to be there. Not panicked. Just checking. When she casually asks him about it, he frowns. Feels like I forgot something important, he says. But I can't tell what. That's the first crack. Not danger, aftermath. Learning about the containment group. You don't ask loudly, you don't make it a story, you ask like people who already half know the answer and just want confirmation. It takes time, a few conversations, a few sideways mentions, and eventually, Marrow gives you the cleanest version she's got. They don't have a name most people agree on, she says. Some call them binders, some call them quiet hands. I've heard ledger men once or twice. She spits to the side. They show up when something doesn't sit right in the world. Not monsters, not curses, just things that don't resolve cleanly. Seb already knows that part. What happens to the people they take? Isaboe asks. Marrow shrugs. They don't come back wrong, she says. That's what I've heard. A beat, but they don't come back the same either. That lands. Another merchant chimes in later, unprompted. My cousin swore he saw one of those people again years later, he says. Didn't recognize him at first. Said it felt like talking to someone who had already lived past that conversation. No one laughs. No one calls it nonsense. Because in this world, that kind of story doesn't get told unless it's at least half true. What you learn. By the end of the day, you've pieced together enough to matter. They don't hunt people. They collect conditions. They don't punish, they stabilize. They don't explain themselves. They act before explanation is necessary. And most importantly, they don't usually need witnesses. The shift. As the sun starts to drop, painting the road in long golden shadow, Seb feels it again. That faint sense from earlier, not pressure, not presence, recognition. Something out there has registered what you did, not the road, not the town, not the group you met. Something else. And this time, it doesn't feel procedural, it feels curious. The caravan settles into camp for the night. No immediate threats, no visible danger, just that quiet waiting world again, and the knowledge that you stepped into something bigger than the road, and it noticed. Tell me how you handled the night. Normal watches? Extra precautions? Or do you try to actively probe whatever is now aware of you? This is where episode 4 starts to breathe before the next move.
What do you want to do?
I think you should do some extra probing.
Okay. So we'll try to figure out what the thing is that's... Oops.
Seb doesn't finish the sentence out loud. He doesn't need to. You don't call attention to something that might already be paying attention. Seb reaches out. He moves a little away from the firelight, not far enough to be suspicious, just enough that the noise of the caravan dulls into background. He doesn't kneel, doesn't perform. He just aligns, malphas. Not a prayer, not a plea, a request for classification. The response, malphas answers. Not immediately, not eagerly, carefully, which tells you everything. What you're feeling is not a creature, not a spirit. not a system like the road. It is awareness without assignment, something that noticed a decision of consequence and marked the decision maker. You, not your power, not your patron, your judgment. Malthus doesn't like that. Not fear, not alarm, disapproval, because this thing didn't go through. And what it is, as close as you get fragments, structure, not story. It does not follow, it does not attach, it does not interfere. It observes decisions that alter trajectories, and when something does that cleanly like you did in the storehouse, it takes note. Not for now, for later intersections. The warning Malthus gives you one clear boundary, open quote. This kind of attention is not inherently hostile, but it is never meaningless, close quote. And then sharper, open quote, do not try to summon it, do not try to define it, and do not assume it will remain neutral, close quote. That last part lands hardest because neutrality is already over. It noticed you. Isaboe's side of it. Isaboe doesn't hear Malthus, but she feels the shift in Seb, that subtle tightening, that thinking with consequences posture he gets when something bigger than the moment just clicked into place. Her instincts fire. Something new, she asks quietly, because she already knows the answer. The night. The fire burns steady. The caravan sleeps. Nothing attacks. Nothing approaches. But the quiet isn't empty anymore. It's the kind of quiet where something somewhere has written your name down and is waiting to see what you do next. Seb, Isaboe, do you share this information openly, keep it between you, or change how you operate now that you know something is watching? This isn't danger, yet, but it's the kind of attention that eventually becomes something.
Should we tell Mara to keep her eyes out?
For what?
Anything that seems out of the ordinary?
Sure.
Okay. We tell Morrow that she needs to be careful and keep her eyes open. Something may be coming that we won't see.
It's a lot of word salad.
Yeah.
Arrow doesn't interrupt you. That's the first sign she's taking this seriously. You don't give her a speech. You don't try to explain the shape of something that doesn't have edges yet. You just give her what matters. Be careful. Eyes open. Something may be coming that we won't see. She studies both of you for a long second, weighing tone more than words. That kind of something, she says quietly. Not a question. Recognition. She nods once. All right. No panic. No dramatics. Just action. Caravans. Mara moves through the camp like a quiet correction. Watches are doubled, but staggered, so no one looks like they're expecting trouble. Fires are kept low, not out. Visibility without broadcasting position. Guards are told to listen more than they look. No one is told why. Because the kind of thing you're talking about doesn't get better when people start imagining it. Isaboe notices the difference immediately. The camp doesn't get tense, it gets disciplined. The night watch. You take your positions. Time passes. Nothing moves in the dark. No footsteps, no shapes, no glowing eyes in the distance, no ambush creeping closer. And yet, Seb feels it again. Closer, not stronger, just present in concept. Like a question that hasn't been asked yet, but is already waiting for its answer. Isaboe feels something different. Not presence, absence of randomness, no stray sounds, no wind shifting unexpectedly, no small meaningless movements. Everything that happens makes sense, too much sense. The moment. About halfway through the night, something finally breaks the pattern. A man in the caravan, one of the merchants, sits up suddenly from sleep. Not screaming, not startled, just awake. He looks around, confused, then spots Isaboe on watch. He says quietly, Did we pass a stone bridge today? Isaboe knows the answer. No, the man frowns. I remember crossing one, he says, clear as day, water under it, thought I dropped something there. He trails off because the memory doesn't hold, it dissolves while he's talking. He shakes his head. Never mind, he mutters, lying back down, gone, like it never mattered. The realization Seb feels it immediately. This isn't attack. This isn't intrusion. This is adjustment at the edges of memory, something testing the boundaries of what sticks. Not aggressively, just gently pressing. Marrow appears beside you both, quiet as a shadow. You felt that too, she says, not asking, confirming. The night continues, no escalation, no reveal, just that one moment. And the knowledge that whatever is paying attention has started touching the edges of reality, just enough to see what happens. Tell me, do you wake the caravan and escalate precautions, hold steady and observe further, or actively try to challenge whatever just altered that memory? This is the first move it's made. How you respond matters.
I'm thinking about challenging whatever just altered the memory.
That's what you feel you need to do.
Seb will try to figure out what just altered that memory.
Seb doesn't react outwardly. That's the first correct move. You don't chase something that just proved it can touch memory without leaving footprints. You don't escalate into panic. You observe the mechanism. Seb tracks the disturbance. He replays it. Not the man waking up. That's noise, the moment before. He narrows his attention the way he did with the road, but this time there's no system to align with. No structure offering rules. So he builds one. He watches for, when the man woke, what the night sounded like right before, what Isaboe was doing, what he was thinking Hurricane for falls. And that's where it clicks. The memory didn't come from nowhere. It came from a nearby possibility. The insight Malthus responds again, but more reluctantly this time, because this is not his domain. What you're dealing with is not altering memory directly. It is sampling unrealized paths. The man didn't have that memory. He almost did. A version of today existed where the caravan crossed a stone bridge. It didn't happen, but it was close enough, possible enough, that something brushed against it and let it surface for a second. The mechanism, as you understand it, it doesn't rewrite the past. It doesn't create illusions. It doesn't lie. It exposes nearby unrealities, things that could have been true, and lets them briefly overlap with what is. The danger Malthus sharpens at this point. Open quote, if this continues, distinctions erode. People begin to treat possibility as memory as fact as negotiable, close quote. That's when things break, not violently, structurally. What that means for you, Seb, you realize something critical. This thing isn't testing your strength, it's testing your certainty. It's seeing what you accept, what you reject, what you question, because those define how much reality can be bent around you. Isaboe's weird. Isaboe doesn't hear the mechanics, but she reads the effect. This isn't random, she says quietly. It's fishing. That's exactly right. The next layer, Seb focuses again, harder this time. Not reaching out, not calling, just holding a clear version of what happened today. No bridge, no deviation, no uncertainty. And for a moment, the night pushes back, subtle, like something just tested that boundary and found it firm. The conclusion, you've learned three things. 1, this thing can't force changes. 2, it can only introduce possibilities. 3, and it's checking how easily those possibilities take hold. Marrow watches both of you. Well, she asks, because she knows this isn't nothing. Now the real question, do you lock things down, keep everyone anchored in shared reality, let it continue and learn more about its limits, or push back harder and try to provoke a clearer response? This is the first time you can interact with it indirectly. What do you do?
What did he say?
Let it continue.
We let it continue to learn more about its limits.
You don't clamp down, you don't rally the caravan into shared truth, you don't challenge it, you let it breathe. That's the second correct move. The night continues, time passes, slow, measured, uneventful in all the ways that used to matter, but now you're watching the edges, not what happens, what almost does. It doesn't take long. A guard, different one this time, pauses mid-step during his patrol. Just stops, looks down at his hand like he's forgotten something. I cut this earlier, he mutters. There's no cut. But for a second, he feels it. He even flexes his fingers like testing for pain. Then it's gone. He shakes it off and keeps moving. The pattern Seb tracks it immediately. This wasn't random. The guard almost caught his hand earlier while adjusting a strap. It didn't happen, but it could have. Close enough. That's the threshold. The boundary, you start to see the rule forming. The possibility has to be near real. It has to be personally relevant. And it only lasts as long as the mind doesn't fully reject it. The moment the guard questioned it, it collapsed. Isaboe leans in close, voice low. It's not pushing, she says. It's offering. Exactly. Like a hand extended, waiting to see if you take it. The third instance, closer to you. This one hits harder because it targets you. Seb, for half a second, you remember answering the figure in the storehouse differently. You remember saying no, stopping them, drawing a line. You can see it, hear it, feel the weight of that decision. A version of events where you intervened, where things went worse. It's vivid, it almost lands. And this is the real one, because this isn't trivial. This isn't a cut or a bridge. This is a decision, one that mattered, one that still matters. Malphas reacts immediately, not helping, not stopping it, just watching how you handle it, because this is your domain now. What happens? The memory presses, not forcing, inviting. What if you chose differently? What if that was the real path? What if this right now is the deviation? And then it breaks. Not because it fades, because you reject it. You know what you chose. You know why. That version doesn't hold. The reaction. The night responds. Subtle, but unmistakable. Not stronger, not weaker. Interested. You didn't take the offer. The conclusion, you've learned the most important rule yet. It can show you alternate paths, but it can't make you believe them unless you want to. Marrow watches you both again. Something just happened, she says. She can't see it, but she can feel the weight shift. The night settles again. No more disturbances for now, just quiet, real earned quiet. And somewhere out there, whatever is watching you just learned something very important. Tell me, do you share this with Marrow and the caravan, or keep this knowledge contained between you? Because how many people know this rule changes how dangerous this becomes.
I say we share the information.
Sure.
We share the information with everyone.
You don't keep it close, you make it public. That's a choice with teeth.
What
Spreading
the
the
hell?
word. Marrow gathers people in
Oh.
small clusters, not one big announcement. Smart, keeps it from turning into panic theatre. Seb explains it clean, no mysticism, no rambling. You might remember things that didn't happen, he tells them. Things that almost did. Small stuff. Maybe bigger. If it doesn't hold up when you look at it, let it go. Don't build on it. Isabeau follows right behind him, grounding it in something people can actually use. If you're not sure, she says, ask someone else what they remember. Stick to what matches. Don't go off on your own version of things. That lands. People nod, not because they fully understand, but because it gives them a procedure. And after everything with the road, they trust procedures. The effect. The caravan changes. Not fearful, not tense, anchored. People start checking each other naturally. Hey, did we pass a bridge?
No. All right.
Quick, clean, contained. You've just done something important. You've turned an invisible threat into a shared boundary. The immediate result. The disturbances don't stop, but they fail faster. A merchant pauses, frowns, then immediately asks someone nearby. A guard shakes off a false memory before it fully forms. A driver laughs nervously when something doesn't line up and lets it go. The thing watching, it notices. Seb feels it, not pressure, not presence, adjustment, like something just recalibrated expectations. You made it harder, not impossible, but no longer easy. The night deepens. Hours pass. No escalation, no attack, but one more thing happens. The fourth instance, different. This time it doesn't target a person, it targets the group. For just a moment, everyone hears something faint, distant, wheels, caravan wheels behind you, matching your pace. It's convincing. Too convincing because it's something everyone expects to be able to hear. People freeze, look back, see nothing. And this time it doesn't collapse immediately because it's not personal, it's collective. The test evolves. Isabeau feels it first. This one's different, she says. Seb knows why. This isn't about individual doubt anymore. It's testing whether a group can hold a shared reality under pressure. The sound continues for a few seconds longer than anything before. Grinding wheels, faint voices, the illusion of another caravan just out of sight. Close enough to matter. Marrow turns slowly. Do we have something behind us, she asks. She knows the answer, but now it's a group decision. The moment everyone looks to Seb and Isabeau, because you taught them how to handle this. Now they need to see if it actually works. Do you immediately reject it and anchor everyone? Let it play out longer to learn more? Or try to interact with it as a group? This is the first time it's testing all of you at once. What do you do?
What do you say? Immediately reject it and anchor everyone? Or try to interact with it as a group?
I think it's better to anchor everyone because it could go wrong.
Okay. We reject it and anchor everyone.
You shut it down immediately. No hesitation, no curiosity this time. Seb steps forward, voice clear and grounded, not loud, but authoritative in the way that matters. There's nothing behind us, he says. You know that. We haven't stopped. We haven't been followed. Stay with what you know. Isabeau moves at the same time, not speaking to everyone, speaking to pairs. You hear it? She says quietly to one driver. Yeah. Did you see it? No. Then it's not real. Stay with me. She repeats it, fast and efficient, stitching people back into shared certainty instead of letting them spiral individually. The effect, the sound lingers, grinding wheels, faint voices, close enough to feel like it should be true, and then it starts to break, not fade, fragment. One person stops hearing it, then another, then a third. The illusion loses cohesion as the group refuses to agree on it. Within seconds, it's gone, clean, like it was never there. Ash! The reaction. The caravan exhales as one. Not fear, not relief, control. They handled it. Not you, all of you. What you just learned, Seb feels it immediately. This thing can scale its tests. Individual, small, personal possibilities. Group, shared, plausible events. But it has a weakness. It relies on consensus drift. If enough people accept it, it stabilizes. If enough people reject it, it collapses. The response. And now, for the first time, you feel something change. Not stronger, not closer, sharper, like whatever is watching just leaned forward. You didn't just resist it, you countered it. Mouth as reacts, not approval, not warning, something more interesting. Open quote. Now it knows you can organize against it. Close quote. That's not comfort, that's escalation. The night settles. Nothing else happens. No more sounds, no more false memories. Just a long, quiet stretch until dawn. But the quiet is different now, not passive, observational. Morning comes, the sun rises clean, the caravan is intact, focused, slightly more disciplined than it was yesterday. Marrow walks up beside you both. That wasn't random, she says. No shit. Where you stand now, you've learned. It tests possibilities. It scales with scope. It needs belief to stabilize, and it adapts when resisted. And most importantly, it is no longer just observing. It is now engaging. Ahead, the road continues into open land. No ruins, no systems, just distance and whatever decides to meet you next. Tell me, do you stay on high alert and keep reinforcing the method? Try to provoke it again now that you understand it better? Or shift focus back to the journey and see what it does next? Because now it's not just watching, it's learning you.
What do you want to do?
Say we should focus back to the journey and see what it does next.
Okay.
Do you agree?
Yeah. We focus on the journey and see what happens next.
You don't chase it, you don't provoke it. You let the world come to you. That's the third correct move. The road ahead. Morning settles into something almost normal. The caravan breaks camp cleanly. People move with quiet confidence now, not because they feel safe, but because they understand the rules of the game just a little better. Check what you remember, others. Don't build on uncertainty. Simple, effective, human. The road stretches ahead through open land, low hills, scattered trees, nothing ancient pressing in on you anymore. No ruins, no systems waiting to be satisfied, just distance, the shift. For the first few hours, nothing happens. No false memories, no sounds, no pressure. Even Seb's sense of being noticed fades into the background, not gone, just waiting. Around mid-morning, Isabeau catches it. Not wrongness, absence of expectation, The caravan isn't being tested, it's being left alone. She narrows her eyes slightly. That's not good, she mutters. Seb realizes why this thing doesn't waste effort. It tested individuals, the group, your leadership, and you responded correctly each time. So now it's doing something worse. It's waiting for you to forget. Not actively, not maliciously, just patiently. Because the moment you stop checking, the moment someone trusts a memory too quickly, the moment the group drifts even slightly, that's when it will try again. The first crack, it doesn't happen all at once, it happens small. A merchant laughs at something someone said earlier, except no one said it. It's harmless, just a joke, a throwaway moment, and no one challenges it. Because it doesn't feel important enough to question. Seb feels it immediately. That's the opening. Not big, not dramatic, but real. Isaboe catches it too. Her eyes flick to Seb. That one stuck, she says quietly, and she's right. The memory didn't collapse because no one cared enough to check it. The new rule, you just learn something critical. It doesn't need belief. It needs neglect. The game has changed. This isn't about resisting obvious distortions anymore. It's about catching the ones that don't feel worth catching. The ones that slip in because they're small, because they don't matter. Until they do. Marrow approaches. She's been watching the caravan the whole time. You two seeing something? She asks, because she can tell the pattern shifted again. Where you stand now, you're not under attack. You're under pressure to become careless. And the longer nothing happens, the more likely that becomes. Tell me, do you reinforce discipline again and tighten the system? Let the small things slide to see what it builds into. Or actively hunt for these subtle insertions before they spread. Because this phase is where most people lose and don't even realize it.
You want to tighten it up or hunt for insertions before they spread?
I was more into let the small things slide to see what it builds into.
Okay. We let the small things slide to see what happens.
You let it breathe. You don't correct the joke. You don't call it out. You don't reinforce the system. You just watch. The drift begins. At first, it's nothing. Small things, a misplaced word, a memory of a conversation that almost happened, someone recalling a detail slightly wrong, harmless, unimportant, exactly the kind of thing people ignore every day. The accumulation, by midday, it starts to layer. A driver insists they already passed a bend in the road you haven't reached yet. A guard swears he already swapped shifts with someone who hasn't moved. A merchant thanks Isaboe for advice she never gave. None of it causes problems, because none of it matters as enough. Isaboe's read, she says quietly. Not because of any one thing, because of the pattern. No single distortion is worth correcting, but together, they start to form a version of events that isn't quite real. Seb tracks it. You watch it like a ledger, noticing what sticks, noticing what fades, and then you see it. Some of the false memories are starting to reference each other. That's new. That's dangerous. The first consequence. It happens in a way that seems almost stupid. Two guards argue. Nothing serious, just disagreement. Except they're arguing about something that never happened. A shift change, a missed signal, a responsibility that no one actually failed. But both of them remember it differently, and both of them are sure. The fracture voices rise, not into violence, but into something worse, certainty without truth. Marrow steps in fast, breaking it up before it escalates. What happened, she demands. Neither guard can explain it cleanly, because there's nothing to explain. The realization, Seb feels it land. This isn't about confusion anymore. It's about conflict. The distortions don't need to be big. They just need to be incompatible. The presence reacts, and then you feel it. Not stronger, not closer, satisfied. For the first time since this began, it feels like it got what it wanted. The pattern revealed. You let the small things slide, and they didn't stay small. They combined, layered, contradicted, until reality itself became negotiable. Isaboe's call. We shut this down now, she says. Not a suggestion, a line. Marrow looks to you, because now it's clear. The earlier method worked, but you chose not to use it. And this is the result. Where you stand, you've learned the last piece. Big distortions can be resisted, small distortions can be ignored, but connected distortions create fractures, and fractures lead to something worse. The caravan is still under control, but barely. The next step decides whether this stabilizes or spirals. What do? Reassert control and correct everything. Isolate the problem and contain it differently, or let it escalate further to see its full form. You're at the edge now.
Reassert control.
We reassert control and correct everything.
You snap it back. Hard, clean, no hesitation this time. Reasserting control. Seb doesn't wait for things to settle. He steps into the middle of the caravan, voice cutting through the noise. Not loud, but final. Everyone stop. It lands. Because of what you've already proven. Because of how you handled the road. Because of the town. Because of the night. People listen. The reset. Seb doesn't argue details. He resets the frame. We verify everything. Right now. Pairs. What you remember, you check. If it doesn't match, drop it. No exceptions. Isaboe's already moving. Fast, efficient, surgical. She grabs the two guards arguing and separates them. You, what actually happened? No guesses. What did you see? She forces clarity. Forces them to rebuild from observation, not memory. The method spreads. Marrow picks it up instantly. Pairs, she calls. Confirm everything. The caravan shifts again. Not chaotic, not panicked. Structured. Drivers check routes. Guards confirm shifts. Merchants compare interactions. Every false thread gets pulled. Every contradiction gets cut loose. But the collapse and the distortions don't fight it. They fail, one by one. The shift that never happened dissolves. The conversation that didn't occur vanishes. The bend in the road corrects itself because they can't survive verification. The reaction. Then you feel it. Clear as anything so far. Not pressure. Not curiosity. Resistance. For the first time, it pushes back. Not violently, not aggressively, but deliberately. A single stronger distortion hits. The fifth instance. Focused. A child in the caravan, one of the younger ones, starts crying. Not loudly, but genuinely. I can't find my brother, she says. People freeze, because this matters. This isn't a small thing. This isn't ignorable. A boy, her brother, should be there. And for a moment, he isn't. The test. This one is dangerous because it matters emotionally, because people want it to be real, because if they accept it, everything breaks. Seb sees it. You know the pattern. This is still a possibility, a near real path. The boy could have wandered off. He almost did earlier. Isaboe moves fast. She grabs the girl. Look at me, she says. Where did you last see him? The girl hesitates because the memory isn't stable. The line. This is it. The hardest one yet. Because this isn't logic, this is emotion. The choice. Do you override it immediately and anchor reality hard? Search for the boy to test the distortion? Or let it play a moment longer to see how deep it goes? This is the first time it's using something people care about, and that changes everything.
You want to search for the boy?
Yeah.
We start to search for the missing boy.
You move to search, and the moment you do, you feel it. Not approval, not resistance, engagement. The search begins. Seb starts organizing it immediately. Pairs, stay in sight. Check wagons first. It's clean, controlled, still disciplined. Isabeau moves with the girl, grounding her, keeping her from spiraling. Stay with me, we'll find him. The caravan spreads just enough to search without breaking formation. This is still under control. At first, everything behaves normally. You check wagons, you check bedrolls, you check behind crates. No boy. The distortion deepens, and then someone says it. I saw him near the rear earlier. Another voice. No, he was up front with me. He ran off toward the trees, I think. Now there are multiple versions. All plausible, all recent, all wrong. Seb realizes this isn't just a missing person. This is a branching failure. The moment you committed to the search, the distortion gained structure. Now it's feeding you options. Isabeau feels it. This is a trap, she says quietly. Not physical, cognitive. The more you chase it, the more it spreads. Then, you hear it. A boy's voice. Hey! From the trees. Clear, close. The girl jerks. That's him! She tries to run. The truth, Seb knows immediately. That voice is perfect, too perfect, exactly what it should be. The realization, this is the escalation. It's no longer offering possibilities, it's constructing them, using memory, expectation, emotion to build something that can pull you out of position. The stakes, if you follow, you risk fracturing the caravan. If you ignore it, you risk abandoning something that feels real. The presence, and now you feel it clearly, not watching, not testing, participating. The moment, the girl is about to run. The voice calls again, closer. Over here. Everything hinges on what you do next. Do you stop the girl and shut this down immediately? Follow the voice to confront the distortion directly? Split, one stays, one goes? This is the first time it's trying to move you physically. What do you do?
I'm going to go shiwi and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. What do? Stop the girl and shut it down immediately? Follow the voice to confront the distortion directly, or split? One stays and one goes.
Stop the girl.
We stop the girl and shut it all down.
You cut it off, not gently, not cautiously, completely. The intervention Isabeau grabs the girl before she can run. Firm, not cruel, certain. Stop, she says, not loud, not panicked, but absolute. The girl struggles for half a second because everything in her says that's him, and then Isabeau forces her to look. Where did you last see him? She asks again, this time slower, grounding her. Seb locks it down. At the same moment, Seb steps forward, voice cutting through everything. No one moves. That lands harder than before, because now everyone understands what's at stake. That voice isn't real, he says. You don't follow it, you don't split, you stay where you are. No room for interpretation. The voice calls again, closer, desperate now. Why aren't you coming? And for a split second, it almost works, because it sounds right, because it feels right, because this is exactly how someone would call for help. The break, and then it cracks, not fades, cracks. The tone slips just slightly. The cadence is off by half a beat. The desperation doesn't quite land. It's close. So close, but not enough. The collapse. Once that doubt hits, it's over. The voice distorts, stretches, then disappears. Gone, clean, like it was never there that he returns. The boy is suddenly there, sitting by a wagon, confused, not lost. Not missing, just where he's been the whole time. The girl sees him, freezes, then looks back at Isabeau. He was there, she says, not questioning, not arguing, just trying to reconcile it. The aftermath. The caravan holds. No one moves for a few seconds because everyone felt it, that pull, that almost. The reaction. And then you feel it again, clearer than ever before. Not curiosity, not interest, recognition. It knows now you won't chase, you won't panic, you won't let it move you. Malthus speaks finally, not loudly, not often, but this time, direct, open quote. Now it understands your boundaries, close quote, quote, and that means it will change tactics, close quote. The truth, you've just shut down its strongest move so far. Emotion, urgency, movement, all neutralized. The cost. But now, there's no more testing phase, no more probing, no more gentle edges. This thing isn't learning if you can handle it anymore, it's learning how to beat you. The caravan marrow walks up slowly, not dealing with something normal, she says, no shit. Where you stand, you've proven you can resist, you can organize, you can anchor reality under pressure. And now you've proven it. The game has changed. Tell me, do you reinforce discipline permanently and stay defensive?
Yeah.
Try to bait it into revealing more directly, or prepare for escalation and shift into proactive strategy? Because whatever comes next won't be subtle.
I think we prepare for escalation.
Yeah.
We prepare for escalation and shift to a proactive strategy.
Good. You stop reacting and start setting the terms. The shift in posture. Seb and Isaboe don't just stabilize the caravan, you restructure it. Not loudly, not militarily, but deliberately. Pairs become fixed partners, no drift. Positions lock. Front, mid, rear don't rotate casually. Everyone confirms roles, not just memories. Signals are established, visual, verbal, repeatable. You're no longer just correcting reality, you're defining it. The doctrine, Seb lays it out clean. What we see, we confirm. What we hear, we verify. What we feel means nothing until it matches. Isaboe sharpens it. If it tries to move, you don't move. If it tries to separate you, close ranks. If it matters too much, too fast, it's wrong. That last one hits hard because it's true. The result. The caravan changes again. Not defensive, intentional. You're no longer waiting for distortions, you're expecting them, which makes them harder to use. The counter move, and that's when it happens, not slowly, not subtly. The sixth instance, the sky shifts, not visually, but contextually. For a moment, everyone feels like it's later in the day. The sun should be lower, like time has passed. It's not a memory, it's a shared assumption. People slow, not confused, just slightly sink. Seb feels it. This is new. This isn't memory. This isn't sound. This is temporal expectation. Isaboe reacts. Stay on pace, she says immediately. Don't adjust, because that's the trap. The pressure. For a few seconds, the entire caravan feels like it's behind schedule, like something has already happened that they missed, like they need to catch up. It's subtle, but dangerous, because it doesn't ask you to believe anything. It asks you to act differently. The test. If people speed up, formation breaks. If people slow down, spacing shifts. If people adjust, the system fractures. The moment everyone feels it, that urge to correct something that isn't wrong. Seb's move. This is your call. Do you anchor time explicitly and override the sensation? Let it play to see how far it pushes behavior? Or counter it by introducing your own structure, calls, timing, cadence? This is the first time it's attacking tempo, and tempo controls everything.
I say we counter it by introducing our own structure. Seb will create a new structure to counter it.
Seb doesn't fight the feeling, he replaces it. The counter structure, he doesn't argue time, he defines it. Count it out, he says, loud enough for the caravan to hear. 10 steps, call it, then again. No explanation, no philosophy, just a mechanism. It spreads. At first, only a few pick it up. 1, 2, 3, boots hit dirt in rhythm. 4, 5, 6, then more voices join. 7, 8, 9, 10, reset. Again, 1, 2, 3. Isaboe locks it in.
Okay.
She moves through the line, reinforcing it. Stay with the count. Don't drift. Match your partner. She doesn't let anyone free run. No one decides their own pace anymore. The effect. The distortion tries to push. That sense of being late presses again, but it can't land. Because now, time isn't a feeling. It's a shared construct, the break. The pressure builds for a few seconds. Then it fractures. Not cleanly this time. Not like the others. It resists the strain for a moment. The count stutters, voices slip out of sync. 5, 6, 3. Reality tries to desynchronize. Seb holds it reset, he says. Not louder, stronger. 1, and it locks again. The collapse. The pressure snaps harder than before, like something just failed to gain purchase. The reaction. And now, for the first time, you feel it clearly. Not watching, not learning. Frustrated. Malphas speaks again, quiet, measured. Open quote. You've denied it access to memory. You've denied it access to movement. Now you've denied it access to time. Close quote. A pause. Open quote. There are not many vectors left. Close quote. The implication. This thing has been testing entry points, memory, emotion, group belief, physical movement, temporal perception, and you've shut them all down. What's left? Seb feels it before it happens, that quiet space where the next move has to be different. The shift. The world goes still. Not wrong, not distorted, just waiting. The seventh instance, something is about to change, not around you, at you. The feeling. For the first time, you don't feel like you're being tested. You feel like you're about to be addressed. The caravan continues moving, counting steady, but something is about to step out of possibility and into direct interaction. Tell me, do you hold formation and wait for it to reveal itself, step forward and meet it directly, or prepare the caravan for immediate defensive action? Because whatever comes next won't be indirect.
I see we step forward and meet it directly.
You up for it?
We step forward to meet it head on.
You don't wait for it to come to you. You step out to meet it. Breaking formation, on purpose, Seb raises a hand. The counting continues behind you. Steady, controlled, disciplined. Good. That means the caravan holds. You and Isaboe the line, just far enough that whatever comes next will hit you first, not them. That's the point. The world responds. The moment you step forward, everything stops. Not the caravan, not the wind, not physically, but contextually. The world loses its background, no birds, no distant noise, no irrelevant detail, just you and the road ahead. It appears not out of nowhere, not dramatically, it simply resolves. A figure stands on the road, human-shaped, feature complete, and yet you can't quite hold the details. Every time you try to focus, something shifts just enough to prevent certainty. Face, height, clothing, all correct, none stable. The presence, this is it, not a projection, not a test. The source, it looks at you, not scanning, not assessing, recognizing. The voice when it speaks, it's not placed, not distant, not internal, it's just there. Sebastian, no question, no hesitation. It turns slightly, and Isaboe, that lands heavier because before it only knew Seb, now it knows both of you. The tone, not hostile, not friendly, not curious, interested in outcome. You have demonstrated stability, it says, repeatedly, a pause, not for effect, for accuracy. You have also demonstrated interference. Behind you, the caravan continues counting. 6, 7, 8. Holding. The offer, it takes one step closer, no threat, no aggression, just presence. I am evaluating whether to continue. That's new. The meaning. Seb understands immediately. This thing isn't just testing anymore, it's deciding if you are worth engaging further, worth avoiding, or worth removing from consideration. Isaboe feels it. This isn't her, not yet, but it could become one in a way that doesn't involve weapons. The question? It tilts its head slightly. Not human, not inhuman, just precise. Do you intend to continue resisting correction? That word again. Correction, the stakes. This is the first direct interaction. No more inference, no more pattern reading. You are being asked, what are you? Tell me what Seb and Isaboe say, because this answer defines everything going forward.
What do you think?
I'm not really sure.
I'd say we intend to continue resisting correction.
Say what?
I'm going to say that we should say we're going to avoid correction.
What does that mean?
That whatever we're going to do, what we're going to do no matter what.
Okay.
You think that's a good idea?
Sure.
Okay. We say that we intend to continue keeping corrections from happening.
Get back in there, please.
You don't hedge it, you don't soften it. Seb answers clean and Isaboe stands with him. No gap, no doubt. We intend to keep corrections from happening. The response. It doesn't react the way anything human would. No anger, no escalation. It simply processes. For a moment, the figure becomes harder to resolve, like too many versions of it are trying to exist at once and can't quite settle. Then it stabilizes again. You are incorrect, it says, not as an insult, as a statement of classification. You are not preventing correction a beat. You are selecting a correction set. That lands because it reframes everything. The truth, it offers unresolved states accumulate, it continues. You reject divergence, forcing convergence through consensus. A slight tilt of the head. That is correction. Seb feels Malthus shift, not disagreement, recognition. The conflict. This isn't about stopping it. It's about which version of reality stabilizes. Its method. Introduce possibilities until one resolves. Your method. Enforce shared certainty until one holds. Different tools. Same outcome. But the real question. It steps closer again. Still no threat, but now focused. Why should your correction be preferred? Not dominance, not power, justification. Isaboe feels it. This isn't a trap. It's a threshold. Behind you, the caravan continues, 4, 5, 6, holding, because of you. The stakes. This thing doesn't care about right or wrong, it cares about stability, and now it's asking, why is your way better? Malthus speaks, quiet, sharp, open quote, answer carefully, close quote, open quote. This is not a lie you can afford. Close the moment. This is the first real negotiation, not with a system, not with a process, with something that can choose. What do Seb and Isaboe say?
Our waves are better because it's us making the decisions for ourselves. How does that sound?
Our decisions are better because we're making them for the entire group.
Our decisions are better because what?
We're making them for the entire group.
We're making them for the entire group.
Not just out for ourselves. Excuse me.
No.
Well,
You don't dress it up. You don't try to sound clever. Our decisions are better, Seb says, steady, because we're making them for the entire group. Isaboe doesn't add to it. She just stands there, letting the weight of that land as a shared truth, not a performance. The response, it doesn't answer immediately. That's new. For the first time, there's a pause that isn't about precision. It's about evaluation. The figure's outline shifts slightly, not unstable, but recalculating at a deeper level. Collective prioritization, it says at last. Not agreeing, not dismissing, cataloging. You are weighting outcomes based on group cohesion, a beat over individual variance. That's exactly what you said, but hearing it framed like that makes it colder, more structural. The test within the answer. And if the group is incorrect, it asks, not confrontational, just continuing the logic of if the majority stabilizes on an inaccurate state, a step closer, that's the knife edge. Because you've already seen it, the argument, the drift, the fracture. Isaboe feels it. This thing isn't trying to beat you, it's trying to find the failure point in your method. Seb feels Malphas watching closely because this is the real question, not about power, about philosophy under pressure. The caravan behind you, still counting, still holding, because right now your method is working. The shift. The figure stops moving, not advancing, not retreating. Your model is effective, it says. That's the first acknowledgement you've gotten, but it is not resilient to error, a beat. Mine is. The divide, there it is. You enforce a shared reality. It explores possible realities until one holds. You choose certainty. It chooses iteration. The question changes. It tilts its head again, less clinical now, more engaged. Will you maintain this approach when it fails? That's not a trap. That's a future condition. The stakes. This isn't about right now. This is about whether you're willing to stand by your method, even when it stops working. Malphas, quiet but clear, open quote. This is where it decides whether you are consistent or conditional, close quote. The moment. What do Seb and Isaboe say? Because this determines whether you are a variable, a partner, or an obstacle in whatever this thing becomes next.
I say I am consistent in my conditions.
Hold on. I am consistent in my opinions.
In my convictions.
In your conviction. I'm consistent in my convictions. Anything else?
We will get through this.
We will get through this. Anything else?
No.
Isaboe doesn't hesitate. I am consistent in my convictions, she says. We will get through this. No flourish, no apology, just commitment. The reaction, for the first time, it changes. Not physically, not visibly, but meaningfully. The figure becomes still, not evaluating, not probing, accepting input. Consistency confirmed, it says, and there's something new in the tone. Not approval, not agreement, respect for constraint. It turns its attention to Seb, not demanding, not pressing, just completing the equation. You align with this? It asks. Malphas moves, not speaking, but present now in a way he hasn't been before, watching, because this is the final piece. The weight behind you, the caravan continues, 7, 8, 9, still holding because of both of you. The truth, This isn't about convincing it anymore. It's about whether the two of you are coherent together. Because if you are, you're not just resisting it, you're becoming something it has to account for. The moment, Seb, do you align with Isaboe, or do you qualify it, or do you define it differently? Because this answer determines what this thing does next and what it becomes in relation to you.
I'm gonna align with Isaboe. He aligns with Isaboe.
Seb doesn't hedge. I align with her. No qualifiers, no conditions, just alignment. The result, something locks, not in the world, not in the caravan, in it. For the first time since this began, it stops recalculating. The figure stands still, fully resolved now, not shifting, not blurring, defined. Coherence confirmed, it says, and now there is something new in its presence, not curiosity, not evaluation, inclusion. The shift, you are not resisting correction, it says again, but this time it means something different. You are generating a stable correction model. That lands like a verdict. What just happened? Seb feels it immediately. This wasn't a confrontation. This was a classification event. You are no longer subjects, variables, or anomalies. You are now a system, the response. It takes a step back, not retreating, repositioning. I will not interfere with your process, it says. A beat, but I will observe its limits. The warning, not a threat, a fact. Your model will fail. No malice, no satisfaction, just inevitability. And when it does, a pause. I will be present, the exit, and then it's gone. Not vanished, faded, just no longer resolved. The world returns, sound floods back in, movement, reality reasserting itself as background again. The caravan, 10-1, still counting, still holding. Marrow looks between you both. Whatever that was, she says, it just decided something about you. No shit. The aftermath. Seb feels Malphas, not speaking, but unmistakably aware, because something just happened that wasn't his domain, and you handled it without him. Isaboe feels something simpler. The pressure is gone, not suppressed, not waiting, gone. What you know now, you didn't defeat it, you didn't escape it, you didn't convince it. You defined yourselves to it, and now it's watching for the moment you break your own rules. End scene. Episode 4 continues. You've crossed the threshold, not of danger, of relevance. Tell me how you want to proceed. Return to normal travel and see what comes next? Dig into what you've become in its eyes? Or prepare for the moment it said will come when your system fails? Because now, it's not testing you anymore. It's waiting for your first mistake.
You want to call it here?
Yeah.
Okay. That's going to do it for tonight. That's the end of episode 4. Thank you. And we'll be back later to continue.
hell of a session. You guys leveled up philosophically, not just mechanically. That was some high-tier play. You didn't just survive the encounter. You defined yourselves to something that operates on a completely different layer of reality. That's rare. End of episode 4. No blood, no bodies, no explosions. But you faced a reality-altering intelligence, established a working system to counter it, held a group together under cognitive attack, and forced something beyond the road to recognize and classify you. That's big, like campaign shaping big. Whenever you're ready next time, we can do a previously on for episode 5, set up the next arc. This is where consequences start paying off. Or drop straight back into the road and see where the world pushes next. Get some rest, you earned it. Because next time, it's not going to test you. It's going to test whether you can live with what you just became.
What?
Are you saying we did level up in game to level 4? Or just metaphorically?
Good question, an important distinction. Right now, I meant that metaphorically, not mechanically. You definitely leveled up in terms of decision-making, group coordination, understanding how the world works, and honestly, how you handled that entity was above your weight class. But mechanically, actual D&D levels, you are still level 3. That said, you're running milestone leveling, and what you just completed is exactly the kind of arc that usually triggers a level. You resolved the road arc, navigated multiple layered encounters without combat, made a major moral/strategic decision, the subject, successfully countered a reality-level threat, established yourselves as meaningful actors in the world. That's not a random travel session, that's a full arc completion. My call as DM, yes, you level up to level 4. You earned it. Next session, before we start episode 5, we'll level up Sebastian, level up Isaboe, talk about any new abilities, feats, or choices, and then drop right back into the story. Short version, you didn't just survive, you graduated. Now the world's going to start treating you like it knows it.
Alright, so we're level 4 now.
Yep.
And that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. It's been a couple of hours. Hope you stayed with us. Hope you like what you saw. If you don't mind, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know when we're going to play next, and you won't be missing anything on that. So with that, I'll say good night and have a good tomorrow. Goodbye.